Crusaders pregame is brought to you by Maxwell, Devonshire Realty, where real estate happens.
And welcome inside the Maxwell Devonshire Realty pregame show. I'm Dave Dawson. Zach Marks joined with me as well as always. And 10-1 the Crusaders are now, Zach, after a 4-3 win over the Fort McMurray Oil Barons on Friday night. How would you summarize that contest?
It was a gritty contest on Friday night. A lot of penalties in that second period, in that third period. A couple of goals that maybe the Crusaders are going to want back, a couple that the Mob's going to want back. But all in all, a gritty performance by the Crusaders that showed that they can play with both ways. It doesn't matter if you're going to play run and gun or if you're going to try and knock them down. They're going to get back up, they're going to score, and they're going to keep the momentum rolling for them.
And not as many penalties as we've seen in past games against Fort McMurray for sure, but definitely one that almost got away from the Crusaders at the very end there. How about that top line, Zach? Continually, Atwell, Savoy, Zapernik, or just something else?
Yeah, the usual suspects get it done for the Crusaders yet again on Friday night. 2 goals from Savoy, a goal from Atwell, a goal from Zapernik. That line has just continued to be dynamic, just helping the Crusaders to this start. And we talk all the time about the depth, but if the stars aren't producing, you're not going to win games. And you can't say that for the Sherwood Park Crusaders team.
Staying out of the penalty box has been a big one too, so they can roll those 4 lines. Well, they have the Drumheller Dragons coming in on Saturday night tonight, and 3 games and 4 nights throughout this weekend. Now, Drumheller, they met them once already this year at the Showcase.
Yeah, it turned out to be a 6-3 win for the Sherwood Park Crusaders. A bit of a closer game than I think most people expected from Drumheller. We talked a couple weeks ago about Canmore and how we expected them to push for second. Well, Drumheller has done that this year thus far, tied for second with Okotoks in the South Division. They've been a lot better than I think some people expected, with Cale Elder in between the pipes, helping them to a 6-2-2 start. And their power play has been extremely efficient thus far, 5th in the league. You can't ask for much more out of a South Division opponent.
And they get Kobe Moore back from the WHL. Great setup for the pun there. Appreciate that. Former Edmonton Oil King, which he will be in the lineup tonight when the Drumheller Dragons are in town. Well, Tampa, Brendan McDonald from Tampa, Florida. He will be our guest in pregame. What have you liked about what you've seen out of McDonald so far this season?
He's looked a lot more like a complete defenseman. Last year, you definitely saw more of his defensive output, where he was just a shutdown defender. This year, he's started to put up more of the offensive stuff, which he'll talk about a little bit later on here in the pregame show. He's already at 3 goals this season, which matches last year's total, and I expect him to keep putting up some numbers and potentially get locked up in a commitment here.
He is getting some power play time, and yeah, it's a surprise that Brandon McDonald doesn't have an NCAA commitment yet, but I imagine by the time the end of the season comes along, that will come along as well. All right, without further ado, on the Maxwell Devonshire Realty pregame show, we'll catch up with Brendan McDonald of the Sherwood Park Crusaders. How would you describe just this start to the season for your team and yourself?
It's been an unreal start, much better than last year. We got off real quick, real fast. We were going for, hopefully 10-0. Didn't get it, but we didn't let that slow us down. We kept going, picked right back up where we left off after a loss, and we just keep rolling now.
Escott and I have often described you on the air as that guy. Sometimes you don't notice, but you don't because you do so many things well. That was last year. And this year, it's quite the different story where you are being noticed a lot more. How would you summarize your play on the ice and how you've kind of developed?
From last year, I've gained a lot of confidence, and that's helped me keep it even more simple. But the simpleness keeps me in the play, keeps me way up in the rush, and it's helping me out right now. The team's winning, and I'm doing well myself, but more importantly, the team's winning. But overall, it's looking really good.
There seem to be moments where, you do take, risks isn't the right word. You seem to be contributing more offensively. Was that something that you had maybe made as a goal to contribute a little bit more?
For sure. This offseason and start of the season, working with Jeff, going on a little early, shooting pucks, and it's paying off for not just me, but all the defensemen right now. We're all rolling, and it's just, it's really good.
Now, this Sherwood Park team, obviously you mentioned, very special, 10-1 on the year and making names, taking notice right across the league. What is the most surprising thing, or maybe something that people who don't know because they're not in the dressing room, what is one thing that's like that wow factor about this team?
Just how close we are. We're basically brothers in there, and there's not a single guy you wouldn't go to war with there, and you may not see that, but if you look closely, you can see it on the ice, on the bench, the way we're intimate with each other in a sense, and it just works out really well.
Now you got Drumheller tonight after a tough one, a tough gritty one against the Fort McMurray Oil Barons. A couple of bumps and bruises for sure. What is it that Drumheller presents, and how do you attack them on the offensive side?
They're a good team defensively, offensively, and they're picking up more guys. They just got another goalie from the Dub, so they're going to be better than when we saw them in Showcase, but we just got to pound them, get pucks in deep, hit them, wear them down, and we'll be fine.
All right, well, I know you have a lot of family that often watches our broadcasts at home. You scored on your birthday as well. I'll allow you the ability, anybody you want to say hi to, and just who might be watching back home.
Just my family, dad, mom, girlfriend, everybody back home, just hello and miss you guys.
All right, on Canadian Thanksgiving weekend, what better than talk to Tampa? Brendan, I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for doing this, and best of luck tonight.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching the Maxwell Devonshire Realty pregame show. Be sure to tune in tonight, 7 o'clock, when Zach Marks and myself will have the call on Hockey TV.